Khador is led by Kapitani Lori Borishuk. His battle group includes a direwolf named Shitklik and a great bear named Kadyak. He also has a Winter Corps officer and a unit of Winter Corps infantry, including an autocannon and rocketeer. Khador chose the command cards: Arcane Forces, Breakthrough, Careful Reconnaissance, Duck and Cover, and Hit and Run. Orgoth is led by Kishtar, the Howling Silence. Her battle group includes a jackal named Lobo and a tyrant named Merc. She also has a Reaver commander and a unit of Ultra Barragers. Orgoth chose the command cards: Breakthrough, Hit and Run, Infiltration, Old Faithful, and Put the Fires Out. Orgoth won the starting role and chose to go second. Special thanks to the Delaware Warmachine crew for the challenge coin used as our first player marker. We played a variant called Scenic Steamroller, designed by Thomas and Dessa O'Neill. A link to the variant is in the description below. Rolling a D3, 2 pieces of terrain were selected to be scored. The square stone tower can be scored by warrior models. The cache of warjack parts can be scored by warjacks. The Winter Corps infantry and officer were deployed to the center of their deployment zone. Ilari was deployed to the right, flanked by his warjacks to either side of him. The barrages were deployed to the center of their table edge, along with the Reaver commander. Kishtar was to the right with her warjacks to the far right. Khador. Turn 1. The Arcantric turbine hummed to life on Ilari's back, as a dense fog formed to blanket the Khadorans in his presence. He then called his warjacks to action, charging them with the protection of the warriors alongside them. With that, the elder warcaster and his cohorts advanced near a large boulder on the outskirts of town. Lieutenant Kaposin rallied his troops and moved to the northwest corner of a wooden house. The infantry squad advanced to support him. Orgoth. Turn 1. The barragers moved up near the forest to survey the area ahead. Before moving to the corner of a large stone tower. Hakal ran to keep pace with the Ulkers, moving to the opposite side of the tower. Lobo rushed ahead, securing the cache of weaponry and spare parts. Merc moved to the side of the smaller warjack. The Orgoth warcaster then moved up to the safety found in the shadows of her jacks. And enveloped her jackal in a protective aura. Khador, turn 2. Kapitan Borishuk maintained the protections he'd set upon his army, and poured a measure of his power into Khador. Savasha and her riflemen opened up on the barragers, with her machine gunner adding a hail of rounds to the onslaught. In the end, Cog fell slain, while Tuluk was shredded, but somehow still stood. Corporal Varnak sent an explosive projectile slamming into the face of the tyrant, catching Lobo in the blast. Sergeant Savasha then called her squad to seek cover against the expected retaliation. Kaposan advanced to support the infantrymen and fired a round into the chest of the lead Oker. Tuluk dropped to the ground, struggling to breathe through the gaping wound in his chest, but in savage defiance refused to die. Khador moved towards the Warjack cache and sent a blast crashing into the Jackal. Merc was caught in the explosion, but was otherwise unharmed. Alari sent his direwolf towards the Orgoth Warjacks before sighting in on Lobo. Sending a round piercing through the Jackal's shoulder, the Khadoran Warcaster moved back to the cover behind the wooden house. Orgoth, turn 2. Kishtar continued to strengthen her Jackal as she infused the tyrant with more of the dark power flowing through her. Driven by the Orgoth Warcaster, Merc rushed forward, clawing into Sergeant Fulton. The tyrant then sent a belch of flame engulfing both Khadoran Warjacks. Tuluk struggled to stand, and followed behind as Golkar attacked Shitklik. Afterwards, the Yolkar closed in on the Winter Corps infantry. The Reaver commander moved around the tower to flank the squad, sending a bolt just to the side of Corporal Varnick. Stepping into the shadow of her jackal, Kishtar looked to cut down the Khadoran jacks with her Death Whisperers, but barely managed to cut into the direwolf's chest plating. Energizing Merc, she forced the tyrant to launch another burst of flame towards Shitclick. Khador, turn 3. Seeking to avenge Sergeant Fulton, Kadyak sent a freezing blast crashing just to the side of Lobo, damaging the jackal, but only slightly. Ilari then fueled the direwolf, while maintaining the magics enveloping his entourage. Shitclick charged into the barragers, devastating to look in a violent frenzy.
Crit.
Kadyak then lashed out at Lobo and Kishtar. Lieutenant Kaposin pushed the remaining infantry to press their advantage before firing a round into the tyrant's armor. Corporal Varnick rallied the infantry to follow suit, bombarding Merc with all they had, crippling its cortex in the process. The Khadorn Warcaster crept around the corner and fired a pair of rounds into the tyrant, barely managing to pierce its accursed armor. Orgoth. Turn 3. Khador leaned on an archaic enchantment to repair a portion of Merc's damage. Before fueling the dark energies flowing through both of her warjacks. With an unnerving quickness, the Reaver commander closed the distance and drove his blade into Urik's side, felling the veteran rifleman. Hakal then called out instructions to the remaining barrager. The Alcor broke free from the shadow of the direwolf and blasted the warjack in an explosive fury. Khador moved up to secure the stockpile and lashed out at Shitclick. She then raised her hands high into the air, sending a wave of crimson energy surging out, causing pandemonium all around. Lobo closed in on the Khadoran warjack and carved into it, leaving a smoldering pile of wreckage in his wake. Khador urged her tyrant to trample over the assembled Winter Corps soldiers moving toward their position. Only Corporal Karakov survived the onslaught, but her luck would not last. The Felgoth Warcaster commanded Merc to attack once more, cutting the young infantryman down. Khador, turn 4. Capitan Borishuk allowed the magic surrounding his force to fade as he moved to sight in on the Orgoth Warcaster. Khador barely stood after taking 2 rounds from the sniper. Ilari then sent his Great Bear charging into his nemesis. Kydyak violently fisted Kishtar, finally slaying the Orgoth Warcaster.